All right, hey, what's up, guys? So we got the rotator cuff infraspinatus, right? External rotator is attached to the far side of the shoulder blade here, runs up, attached to the humerus, comes underneath the rear delt, right? Ties in with the rear delt and external rotation. Okay, so what I like to do with the infra, right, is so we can see the bottom of it here, right? So I'm gonna push on the bottom of it to try and stretch it up, right? And it's gonna jump. I'm not gonna sit here and just do this to it here, right, in those spots. What I like to do is I like to find the edge of it and I'll push up on it, and so I'm stretching it that way, right? It's not going to stretch a lot, right? Even just to stretch is just a little bit, okay? And every time you try and go and stretch, do your muscles stretch a lot? No, they don't. So when you're stretching a muscle, it takes a lot, right? And when you're doing this way and you do it for long enough, you'll learn that it doesn't take much of a stretch and pushing in a certain direction for the muscle to release. And you saw that right there, okay? I don't know if you could see that twitch, but we're gonna zoom in here now so we can try and catch the amazing twitches. Right, so we're gonna locate the bottom of the muscle. The top of it's right along the bottom of the spine of the scapula. The edge of it's right along the border of the scapula on that side, okay? And then the bottom of it just kind of floating here, right? So where we can kind of hook it. It's not really attached to anything down here, just kind of free floating, right? And so we're gonna hook it, okay? And we're gonna move up along the bottom of it, right? And try and stretch it that way, right? We got a little twitch right there. Okay, so ever so slightly, we'll see just little reactions and little twitches here and there as we're going through it in certain directions. And I'm not going to try and just sit here and just hammer on it until I get it to go. If I'm feeling that it's not really releasing very well when I'm going through this, there we go. Oh yeah, that was good right through there, if you could see that. But if I'm finding a certain way, so I like to work on it this way. There's a couple different ways, but if I'm finding a certain technique or a certain way that I'm going through the muscle is working, then I'll stick with that, right? I'm not going to sit here and try and force the muscle to do things the way that I want them to, right? I need to listen to the body and do things with the body and the muscles and the fascia that they will respond to. And you see that right there. Lots of activities. We're going through the belly of it, right? The thick of it, right? So now I'm going with the fibers. There we go. You can see that down there. Okay. Now remember, the infraspinatus is it's a really just important muscle when it comes to people in the gym and just shoulder pain and stuff. It's like, because a lot of people are tight internal rotation wise, right? So then what ends up happening is the external rotator here, the infraspinatus, is in a stretched position all day, right? But then stretches this all day, right? It's tight in the front. So then we have a lot of irritation in this area here, right? And a lot of people feel the irritation through here, right? And when I started this session, right, with him, I started with his traps here and his rhomboids. And the lats, and they were really stubborn. They weren't really relaxed very much, right? And now look at this, right? So I worked on his traps for a little bit, right? And I was just not feeling it, right? I'm just like sitting here, I'm like trying to get it to listen to me and trying to get it to release, right? But just wasn't really listening to me very well, right? And so I went on to the lat. The lat started listening to me a little bit, okay? I got the lat to respond really well, right? I went back to the rhomboid and the trap, and it still didn't want to listen to me, right? So now I moved on to the infra, okay, the infraspinatus, and the infraspinatus just opened up really well for me, right? And so now, what that releasing does, right? That's going to release here, okay, and then in turn we're going to get more of a relaxation and releasing here, okay, and I can feel that now. This is much softer, right? But I'm not going to get back to this yet. I'm going to keep going down, and I'm going to work on other things. Before I go back to the traps and the rhomboid, because that was the tightest spot that I felt in the beginning, right? But we'll just do a couple more passes here on the infra. And the infraspinatus rotator cuff has a big nerve underneath it, and so sometimes when you're working on this one, people will feel tingling down into their pinkies, into their fingers, and sometimes too, if you tear a rotator cuff or if you have rotator cuff issues, sometimes people will feel the tingling sensation in their fingers all the time, And so if that's something that you're feeling and sensation in your fingers all the time, it's definitely something I would recommend maybe going and getting checked out by a physician, getting an x-ray and MRI done. You might have some tears or micro tears, but if you come in and see someone like me and we do this more frequently, the chances of you having a tear, if you're taking care of your body in the gym and you're not just running into the ground in the gym, but if you're training hard in a smart way, the chances of you needing to get rotator cuff surgery are pretty slim, as long as we keep the tension in these areas down and keep this stuff relaxed, But yeah, so I just wanted to come on here and give you guys a little bit of the infraspinatus rotator cuff If you guys have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave them in the section below, and subscribe if you dare.